This is just a short video about me answering questions 11 and 12 on page 577 in the official SAT study guide. So I'm just going to read the passage and tell you what I think as I read it, and then I'm going to go through the questions and explain what I'm thinking as I answer the questions. Okay, so it says, Dr. Jane Wright insisted in later years that her father, Surgeon Lewis Wright, never pressured her to study medicine. Indeed, he warned her how hard becoming a doctor would be. So I'm just kind of paraphrasing that to myself and saying, this woman, Jane, became a doctor, probably. Her father was a doctor, but he never put any pressure on her to become a doctor herself. And it's actually the opposite, of him pressuring her. He said, it's going to be really hard. You might not want to become a doctor. His very fame within and beyond the African American community made her training harder in some ways. His being so good really makes it difficult, Wright told an interviewer soon after she graduated from medical school. Everyone knows who Papa is. So here she's just saying that her father left big shoes to fill. He did such a great job that it puts a lot of pressure on her to do well herself in the field of medicine. Okay, so then we can go down to the questions. The passage suggests that Jane Wright's medical training was made more difficult because, okay, so we know from the passage they said his being so good really makes it very difficult. So we know that because Jane's father was a doctor, there's all this pressure on her to be a great doctor, just like he was. So we're looking for an answer that is something like that. So let's go through the answer choices. A, her father warned her not to study medicine. This is a very literal interpretation of the passage. It is true that in the second line it says, her father, Surgeon Lewis Wright, never pressured her to study medicine. Indeed, he warned her how hard becoming a doctor would be. But that's really too literal. Choice A, and it doesn't answer the question. That's not what made it difficult for her to become a doctor. It's actually that her father was such a great doctor. That's why it was difficult for her to be a doctor herself. Okay. B, her father flaunted his success. So we know that her father is successful, but we don't have any indication that he flaunted his success or showed off. For that to be the right answer, it would have to talk about how her father maybe puts trophies and awards all over their house or does something to flaunt his success. C, she did not spend adequate time studying. There's just no information about her not spending time studying. And we also know she graduated from medical school, so she probably studied at least some of the time. D, she shared her father's desire for fame. There's just nothing about her wanting fame. In line 4, they say his very fame within and beyond the African American community made her training harder. But she herself isn't said to want to become famous. So E is probably the right answer, but let's look at it and see if it is appealing. Okay, she was inevitably compared to her father. So inevitably means unavoidably, and there's a lot of implications here that she's compared to her father. Basically, the last part of the passage really shows you that E is the right answer because it says, his being so good really makes it very difficult, Wright told an interviewer. And everyone knows who Papa is, so that implies that it's difficult because everyone knows who he is, and then they're comparing Jane to her father, Lewis. So that one does require inferences and also requires that you avoid those excessively literal answer choices, like answer choice A. Okay. Okay, this is the answer to question 12 on page 577, so I'm just going to read the question and then work through the answer choices because I already read the passage in a previous video. Okay, so the passage is primarily concerned with Jane Wright's what? So for this, you might want to predict an answer. So basically what I would try to predict is just some of the qualities that the answer will have. So it's going to have something to do with her father. Basically, the right answer needs the word father in it, and then it'll probably have to have something to do with the fact that she's a doctor. So the wrong answers will probably emphasize that she's a doctor but have other elements that aren't true, or they'll emphasize that she cares what her father thinks, but they won't mention that she's a doctor. Okay, so A, views of the medical profession. So basically this is what I was predicting would happen, where they overemphasize the doctor side of the passage. So the passage is not concerned primarily with Jane Wright's views of the medical profession. It's concerned with her position within the field of medicine and the effect that her father's role as a doctor has had on her role in medicine. So A is not good, but I would say that it's probably the second best answer because it has the medical profession aspect of it. B, childhood recollections. That's not primarily what this passage is about. For that to be the right answer, you would see a lot of past tense remembrances of what Jane experienced as a child. So it would be something like Jane remembered her father showing him his stethoscope and blood pressure monitor and stuff like that. C, perception of her father as a role model. So this one has her father in it, which is great. Role model is referring to the fact that her father was a role model when it came to medicine and being a doctor. So this is a really good answer. This is probably the right answer. D, reluctance to collaborate with her father. This is close, but there's nothing about her specifically collaborating in a medical role with her father. It's just saying that there was pressure on her to be a great doctor because her father was a great doctor. So D is close, but it's not right. And then E, gratitude for her father's engagement or encouragement. Gratitude for her father's encouragement. Well, that would be a big logical jump because there's no information about him encouraging her except for through his position as a good role model for her. And in fact, he discourages her from becoming a doctor because in the third line it says he warned her how hard becoming a doctor would be. So E doesn't have a lot of support. So C is the best answer, perception of her father as a role model when it comes to being a doctor.